everybody, and welcome back to Her Hand, His Plan by Lise. So as I was telling you in the last video, today we're going to be talking about my addiction. And that specific addiction is a love addiction, okay? So this is important to me because I feel as though when we're in relationships, especially in this day and age and in this culture, we lose ourselves. And with that being said, in time, we start to name a lot of things as normal. So basically we start to normalize a lot of things that aren't really, number one, normal and aren't really healthy, okay? So by the end of this video, I hope you are able to learn, number one, what a love addiction is, number two, how to identify it, and then number three, if you are dealing with it or if somebody that you know is, you can kind of help them out. So let's talk about it. All right, so what I have done, I have gotten a few questions about this topic, and these questions are gonna kind of guide us into this conversation that we're having today. Question number one, what are the signs of being a love addict? Or what are the signs of having a love addiction? So for me, the signs of having a love addiction, I did not realize that I was so addicted to love, being in relationships, being with somebody. You can term it codependent, whatever, but mine was in extremity until I was no longer in a relationship. So there are some things that I realized that I was doing that weren't really healthy. For instance, number one, I would start to lose myself in whoever, I was with at the time. For example, I started to put that person first. I also decided to put my dreams, put my aspirations, put what I wanted to do on the back burner. Now, you could be sitting here saying, that's what you do for somebody you love. Kinda, sorta. In my situation and case scenario, like I said, it was to the extreme, meaning that I just lost sight of myself completely. So that was one sign for me. I was no longer Elise. Like I talked about in one of my TikToks where I was explaining, in a 3-part series of how I moved here from Dallas to Memphis and why that happened, I actually discovered that, how do I word this the right way? I discovered that that's not normal. And like I said, it took me being out of that relationship to see it, because now when I look back at those pictures, those videos, even just thinking about those things, I don't identify with that anymore. So one thing about that, when you no longer are able to see yourself, meaning that you look at yourself, right? But you don't recognize yourself anymore. That was one sign for me. I didn't recognize myself. Another sign, I lost relationships with everybody else. I'll just keep it short and blank. I lost relationships with everybody else. Meaning, not only did I put that person before me, I put that person before everybody. My mom, my dad, my grandma, friends who actually cared about me, people who really were for me. It's not that I didn't want anything to do with them, but it was in the sense of my partner almost made me choose. Now, given they didn't just say, oh, it's me or them. Somebody who cares about you in any aspect, form, or fashion, let me make that clear. They're not going to make you choose between them and somebody else, something else, especially your family. However, whenever it came to me doing things on my own with my family, whenever it came to me helping my family, or even just doing something that did not mean that all of my attention was on them, it was a problem. And me, I internalized that, oh, I don't want to make my partner mad, I put this person first, so I'll just be done with you. Baby, that is not healthy. That is not healthy. I truly believe, now given I have not been in a healthy relationship yet, however, Pastor Sarah said, I believe it was 2 Sundays ago, knowing what not to do is more powerful than knowing what to do. And I just say that to say, I might not know exactly how to have a healthy relationship, but I sure know what not to do. I know what a toxic one looks like. I know what an unhealthy relationship looks like. So in turn, I feel as though I can have a healthy relationship when it's time, when God, sends my husband to me. So with that being said, crap, I just lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Being in an unhealthy relationship, some signs of that are, you do lose family, you do lose connections with those people, and any other type of addiction, whether it's a food addiction, a substance addiction, whatever type of addiction, okay, those signs start to show. And when I started to see that, once again, when I was out of the whole situation, I was like, wow, I really believed I could not do anything with this person. So let's start this. I should have started with this. Let's look up the definition of an addiction. An addiction is a chronic condition that can affect many aspects of your life, including your physical and mental health, relationships, and career. That shows right there that addiction does not have to be with a physical thing. It could be with a person. When I am in a relationship, and I feel as though that's why God is not allowing me to be in one right now, because number one, all of my focus needs to be on him. And number two, I'm not strong enough to be with somebody and not lose myself and lose sight of what's important to me. So that was another sign that I, had a love addiction. Another sign that I had a love addiction, we'll just leave it there and move on to the second question. All right, question number 2. How did you know about your love addiction? I learned about my love addiction when I moved out here, and I started to not go out, but I started to see other couples. Now, given we do not know what goes on behind closed doors. So I just want you to take that and internalize it for a second. Whatever you see that is put on the forefront, you don't know what that person is dealing with, okay? You don't know the struggles, you don't know their hardships and everything. So everything is not what it seems. However, for me, when I moved out here and I realized that having aggressive personalities, being closed-minded, having that crab in a barrel mentality, those things kind of help the light bulb to go off like, wow, life is not what I thought it was when I was in Memphis, okay? If you were from Memphis, if you've ever been to Memphis, not if you've ever been to Memphis, I feel like if you've had to live in Memphis to understand what I'm about to say. So in Memphis, a lot of Memphians, me being one of them, thought that life is in this little bubble, okay? 901, Shelby County is all the world is. And that's not it at all. A lot of people in Memphis are very, not even closed-minded, because of course there are those select few, but a lot of people don't want to see things outside of the way they see it, right? So when I moved out here, when I realized that, number one, being aggressive, that's not normal. That's a product of your environment. So how does that relate to, me seeing that I was in a love addiction? I would see how people talked to one another. And especially when I went to church. When I saw couples in church praying together, worshiping together, moving as one, it really opened my eyes to show that what I was doing was not right whatsoever. So to answer that question in short, it really took seeing something outside of what was norm for me to show me that what I was doing, the relationship I was in, it wasn't normal. And also it was very unhealthy. And I did see the positive aspects of how that, can go about, meaning you don't have to lose those relationships. You don't have to lose yourself to be with somebody. So that's how I learned that. Question number 3, how did you personally cope with your love addiction? So this is something I am still learning how to do. I'm actually back in therapy. I had my first therapy session last week. So that's one thing that I'm doing to cope with it. Also, I am starting to ask for feedback. Oh, and this was something that I want to say. I recently lost a friend. Let me put that in quotation marks. Due to her not being able to receive constructive criticism. Now, this is something else I want you to internalize. If every time somebody is telling you something about yourself, okay, you take that as you're just talking down on me, you're insulting me, you just don't like me. That's a personal thing and they're projecting. I just want to put that out there. So let's just put some text to context with that. I feel as though that's not how you say it. This is the second time I've said it. Whatever. This is what I said. Verbatim. I'll be honest, their name. You speak a lot of negativity. You give up easily, and most of our talks involve gossip or drama, and that's not something that I want to intentionally dwell in/on. I don't hold it against you because I know the things I need to work on. And once again, I was like you not too long ago. Blah, 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 blah. I just say that to say that is an example of constructive criticism. Now, there's another way I could have said that. You are a negative person. You do this, and you do this, and you do this, and you do this. That's not constructive criticism, okay? That's a lot of, you statements, and that also is a lot of projecting. So that is one thing that I have learned, and I'm still learning how to do. And that's a challenge for you. Ask the 6 people that you are closest to. Maybe it's not 6 people. Maybe it's 3 people. Maybe it's 1 person. You only talk to 1 person. Ask them, number 1, what do you think I need to work on? Okay? And that can be, as far as job related, work related, health related, whatever you feel as though you want to ask them. What do you feel like I need to work on? Second thing you need to ask them, what do you think of me? Okay? And the third thing, how do you feel about me? So I have recently learned by reading a certain book that what do you think and how do you feel are 2 separate questions. The what do you think about me, that's asking them, what do you think about me as a person, right? So if I'm asking you, what do you think about Elise? These are things that you would tell somebody else if you're giving a description about me. Oh, Elise is this and she's this. That's what you think, right? How do you feel about me? How do you feel as though what I do affects you? Whether it's positive or negative, because remember, constructive criticism and feedback is not always going to be what we want to hear. But doing that, it'll help you start to take yourself out of it and see yourself not as other people see you, but have an open mind. Because something else that I realized, perception is not reality. Okay, what does that mean? Perception is how we view things. Reality is how it is. So in plain words, how you view things is not always how it is for real, okay? So that's another thing that helped me to cope. I realized that my perception is not reality, although my perception is my reality, that asking others' opinions, and taking what I want from it and being open to hearing it helped me to realize, the things I need to work on and in tune, work on those with my love addiction. Because asking those people, I really realized that I lose myself when I'm with somebody. And, I'm tunnel vision. I'm just that person altogether. Another thing that I did and that I'm actively doing to cope is, what's another thing? Another thing that I'm doing to cope. Oh, I'm taking the time I need and I'm setting boundaries. Ooh, boundaries. I'm going to put that word big right here. Boundaries. Everybody, let's say it together. Boundaries, yes. Let's start formulating that. And I was talking to one of my friends last night, and he brought up a great point. The hardest thing, let me rephrase that. With boundaries, some of the times it's the hardest to put up boundaries with the people who are closest to us. And last night, me and him were talking about setting boundaries with parents, right? So how did setting boundaries help me cope with my love addiction? Setting boundaries, when I am starting to put those into place, okay? Boundaries are, let's pull up another definition. Boundaries are limits that we set to define what's acceptable in our interactions, okay? It protects our physical, emotional, and mental well-being by guiding how we want to be treated and what we will and we won't tolerate. And this is the key. It is crucial for healthy self-care and relationships. So boom, setting boundaries helped me to cope, and it's helping me to cope because when I am able to get in that relationship, when I am able to be with somebody again, I will already know how to set boundaries, and I can be firm in setting them and standing on them. I can go ahead and set boundaries off the jump. Hey, whether it's telling them up front or it's almost waiting for an instance to occur. Because if you don't set up boundaries at the very beginning of something, you almost can't be upset when that thing occurs because you guys didn't talk about that this is a boundary that we are setting. So you can't really be too mad at that happening. That can be a learning point. Does that make sense? So if we go ahead and set boundaries up front, when these things happen, if these things happen that we already set boundaries about, I do have room to kind of not be upset about it, but kind of be like, hey, we discussed this. This is not something new. It's a you problem, okay? Let's normalize telling people what's a you problem and not taking it in for us and internalizing it, because a lot of people, me and myself, sometimes I do this. I'm learning and I'm working on not doing it. Project. What is projection? Projection is when someone puts off what they're feeling and what they're dealing with onto you and trying to turn it around. A lot of narcissists and a lot of manipulators try to project and also deflect. So what's the difference between projection and deflection? Projection is, like I said, when somebody tries to project their feelings onto you, right? Think of a projector. So what does a projector do? It takes an image and it puts it where a lot of people can see. Well, it puts it on the main front. That's what projecting does. They take what's in here and they try to put it out there, okay? We got projecting. Projecting. What is deflecting? Deflecting is when somebody tries to do, not the opposite, but they take away from what you're saying. So let's say I'm telling you, hey, I think you need to work on this. Deflecting can show up in a lot of different ways. It honestly just depends on the level of narcissism that person is demonstrating. So on the low end, it could just be like, whatever, and move on. So they completely ignore it, right? Or on the high end of deflecting, they in turn turn it around and flip it on you. No, that's not true. That's something you need to do. Wait, doesn't that sound like projecting? Yes. Sometimes deflecting and projecting can go hand in hand. So kind of got off track, but that was very related. So that's how, I was dealing with my addiction. Water break. I need some water. Okay, and we're back. Question number 4. Do you think you could love again? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the funniest thing, when I first moved out here, I didn't think I could love again, especially in the same way. When you are with somebody and you love to the best of your ability or even past that, you're like, OMG, I didn't even know I could love somebody that much, because it happens, right? When that fails, if it fails, sometimes it can discourage us from loving again. But I got to realize that I can. I actually met somebody when I came out here, And at first it started as a friendship, and somewhere along the lines it became more. And I realized one day, oh my gosh, I am in love again. And that's also another side of being a love addict. You hop, from relationships very, very quickly. And you can't be by yourself. Maybe you need to internalize that and try to be by yourself. Okay? Excuse me. And that's something I'm doing. So yes, I learned that I will love again by actually falling in love again when I came out here to Dallas. Mind you, me and this person, that door is closed. Needless to say, that door is closed. But that showed me that I can love again, and I want to love again. If you're watching and you know me, you know I am such a lover girl. Like, you know how Mariah the Scientist be going for thug? That is me, baby. I am a lover girl. I'm trying to get into the summer era where it's like, spend it, but I can't. That's not me. I like cooking. I like cleaning. I like bringing my partner their plate. And this might be crazy, don't get on to me, I like washing clothes. I like not providing, but I like doing the little things that helps my partner's day be better. And I just say that to say I'm a lover girl. So of course, I truly, truly, truly believe I can love again, and I will love again. God has a husband out there for me, who has been ordained for me since the beginning of time. I don't know where he is. Maybe he's watching me right now. Hey, boo. Maybe I don't know. Okay, but I'm not worried about it. Worrying is not of God, so I'm not worried about it. Internally crying. No, I'm just playing. I'm not worried about it. But to answer the question, yes, I do feel as though I can love again, and I will love again. Like, yes, talk about it. What have you learned from being a love addict? Say good morning, Hazel. Okay, she said good morning. I have learned a lot from being a love addict. And I have learned that, like I just said, I need to spend time with myself. I'm not strong enough to be with somebody yet and not lose sight of me. And that's okay. Being by yourself is okay. And I think that's another episode I'm gonna do. Why in the world, in this generation, in this day and age, in this culture, is being single like taboo? I don't understand it, and it doesn't make sense to me. It's like everything is catered for couples. And that's another thing I learned. I like being by myself, and I like doing things by myself. It's fun. Elise is a pretty cool girl. Anyway, so I went out to eat by myself, and the hostess, she was like, okay, how many? I was like, it's just me. She was like, oh. And it's not that she made me feel bad about it, but I already could tell what was going up in here in her brain. Like, is there something wrong with this girl? Like, why is she going out to eat by herself? Being by yourself is the most beautiful thing, okay? It shows that you are strong, number one. And number two, that your peace does not come from another person. Ooh, I feel as though that's another sign. So bringing it back to, what was that question, 1 or 2? That's another sign of being a love addict, okay? When your peace does not come from within or from God, it comes from another human being that's on this planet. It's good and all when you feel good around somebody, but when you only feel good around that person, honey, that's not okay, okay? So yes, that's one thing I've learned. I can be by myself, and I freaking love it. And another thing that I have learned to be honest with myself. I don't know if I already said that, but to be honest with myself in the fact of, if you're not ready for something, it's okay. And another thing I learned, that when you have to let go of something that you truly, truly, truly want in your heart, your body wants it, everything, you want this thing, this person, this place, when you have to let go of it for the better of yourself, number one, sometimes that has to happen, but number two, if you're strong enough to do that, kudos to you, baby, because I just now got to that point, okay? I've also learned that about setting boundaries, they're important, and they make everything better in the long run. I have to learn how to fill my own cup up before I can be anything else for anybody, right? So I was reading the Bible last night, and I was reading Mark chapter 4. Mark chapter 4, verse 24 says, "Then he said to them, take heed what you hear. With the same measure you use, it will be measured to you. And to you who hear, more will be given." And Hazel just messed up the thing. She's trying to get something out of her cage. Anyway, okay. And verse 25 states, "For whoever has, to him more will be given. But whoever does not have, even what he has, will be taken away from him." So what I took away from that, I took away, you are only able to be to other people what you can be to yourself. Meaning, and I have prayed for God for clarity for that verse because it really stuck with me, but I feel as though I don't understand it fully enough yet. So the part where he says, with the same measure you use, it will be measured to you. So how the same grace that you give other people, right? That's what's going to come back to you. And it almost goes in the same sense of what goes around comes around. The energy you give out, that's what you're going to get back 100%. Oh, maybe that was clarity. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Maybe that was clarity. But yes, those are a couple of the lessons that I learned. Okay? And I feel as though I don't know why people always mainstream the common, you see my quotation marks, the common addictions, and not the ones that are also common. Like this one, people label it as being codependent, but what happens when it's to an extremity that it is life-threatening. Like I said, I lost myself. I lost my life. I died within that person. That is just as life-threatening as if I was addicted to alcohol, in my opinion. Take it how you want it. You know, I said it, okay? Okay. Sometimes we have to take a step back and take ourselves out of things to see what's actually going on. Because in the moment, when I was in that relationship, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was my man. Okay? I was my man. But being out of it, I realized, being my man is cool. But when you're being my man, and you lose me, that's not okay, Bookie. That's not okay. So that's what I want to leave you with. I want to challenge you. Asking the people who are closest to you those 3 questions. If you need them again, go back to the video and watch it. And the other challenge I have for you, write down 3 areas that you want to see improvement within the next 6 months. So it's the 14th. So by July 14th, what 3 areas would you like to see improvement? And also with those areas, give yourself some key points as to how you could measure it in real time, right? So let's say I want to improve in self-care. Okay, I'll just write self-care. But besides self-care, I'll write these things I want to start doing. I want to start meditating. I want to start doing things by myself. I want to start, even if it's materialistic, I want to make sure I get my hair done every so often. Give yourself things to help measure how much you've improved with that. So that is our video today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope by the end of this video you were able to identify if you have a love addiction, if you know somebody who has a love addiction, and how we can work through that, work on it. Because like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm still working on it, baby, but okay. Y'all, so my tripod just kind of had a breakdown. And also my other phone decided to run out of storage. So, yes. But thanks for watching. Let me know if you guys have any ideas. And when I get the next idea for the next podcast, which will be posted by Wednesday, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, I will post a couple shorts about it and let you know. See you later. Bye.